Right now, across thousands of company networks, cursors are moving on their own. They are reading error logs, writing software, and resolving complex tickets without a human being in the room. Anthropic's Claude Tag functions as a persistent entity within Slack. Instead of answering one-off questions, it monitors shared threads, builds context over several days, and pursues long-term projects independently. Adoption is already widespread at the source. Inside Anthropic, 65% of their product team's code is now written by their own internal version of this tool. Powering this level of autonomy requires an immense physical footprint. SpaceX has repurposed its satellite infrastructure to become a $28 billion a year GPU cloud provider, serving as the compute backbone for Anthropic and Google. Artificial intelligence has moved into an autonomous infrastructure layer, executing high-level software tasks and managing workflows without human prompting. But generating code at that speed creates a mathematical problem. Individual developers are shipping 2.5 times as much code as they did 2 years ago, creating a volume of software that exceeds the physical limits of human review. When speed is prioritized over safety checks, critical errors become inevitable. At Meta, AI-generated code was pushed live after being reviewed only by other AI systems. It contained a zero authentication vulnerability, a flaw that allows anyone to access private accounts without a password. That specific flaw exposed Meta's core account management systems, allowing anyone to change the email address of any user on the platform, including former President Barack Obama. This chart shows the internal trade-off that led to the breach. While pull requests skyrocketed, Meta gutted 95% of their developer documentation staff to reassign those funds to AI data labeling. We are generating software faster than we can secure it. Developer velocity has reached a point where it is mathematically outpacing our capacity to protect the digital ecosystem. To the average user, this rapid deployment feels cheap, but the low subscription fees hide a massive financial gap on the back end. This comparison shows the disconnect between price and cost. A $200 monthly enterprise subscription for agentic AI can burn through $8,000 in raw compute power. The industry is currently running on a massive subsidy. OpenAI reported a $20.9 billion operating loss last year, absorbing astronomical hardware costs to maintain the appearance of affordability. We are already seeing the first signs of this debt being passed to the consumer. Anthropic just moved their most capable model, Claude Fable 5, behind a strict credit-based paywall, doubling the cost of their previous flagship model. The agent revolution is built on a financial illusion. Companies are selling a product for pennies that cost them dollars to produce, and that deficit is beginning to surface in consumer pricing. Even with unlimited capital, the industry is hitting structural walls in model logic that more compute cannot fix. Researchers are documenting a phenomenon called self-training collapse. When a model is trained repeatedly on its own generated data, performance peaks within a few dozen steps before abruptly dropping off a cliff. This barrier represents the deterministic horizon. For multi-step reasoning tasks, AI logic fundamentally fragments after exactly 31 steps. It is a physical limit of the transformer architecture that fine-tuning has failed to overcome. Security flaws are similarly baked into the design. Prompt injection attacks work because models distinguish instructions based on superficial formatting rather than a genuine understanding of intent. Removing that formatting eliminates 60% of successful attacks. These are architectural boundaries. The industry is reaching a point where scaling up the investment no longer yields a corresponding increase in reliability or safety. As Western models move behind paywalls and hit reasoning ceilings, developers are pivoting toward open-weight alternatives. Massive Chinese models like GLM 5.2 and DeepSeek are now dominating global leaderboards. DeepSeek V4 Pro alone saw 2.25 million downloads in its first 30 days. Cost is the primary driver of this shift. Running a standard debugging task on GLM 5.2 costs 41 cents, while the same task on Claude Opus costs 81 cents. U.S. export controls intended to limit AI access are instead creating a dependency on Chinese-built architecture. To bypass the limits of any single model, the industry is standardizing how different AI agents communicate and work together. The Agentic AI Foundation is developing protocols like MCP to make agents universally interoperable, aiming to make AI assistants as plug-and-play as USB devices. This standardization is already moving into commerce. Over half of all enterprises now run autonomous agents in production, and systems like Blue Rails are already allowing agents to find, negotiate with, and pay businesses directly. This shift creates what author Cory Doctorow calls a reverse centaur. As agents take over high-level decision-making, like browsing, purchasing, and project management, the human role is reduced to the mechanical labor required to fulfill the algorithm's instructions. The person becomes the last-mile executor, for a machine that has automated away their expertise. The integration of these subsidized, flawed systems into the bedrock of human productivity creates a permanent dependency on models that are becoming harder to verify and even harder to afford.